when I've been on the road talking to these agents, the number one question I ask everybody, I say, hey, where do you get your business from? Give me a breakdown. Where do you get your business from? Tell me what you're doing to get customers. You sold $100 million in real estate in a really tough market. Where did you get your customers? What's the number one answer I get? SOI. Absolutely.
I want to introduce you to our primary keynote today, one of the smartest guys in our industry that you should listen up closely to about generating more listings and all that good stuff. Let's welcome Jimmy Mackin.
Thank you. All right, brother. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Rule number one in business, and it's the most important rule not to forget, is don't go broke. And I think a lot of agents right now are going broke. Nick Bailey, CEO of Remax, talked about this. He said agents right now are going from being burnt out to being broke. And the market has shifted. The market has changed. We as an industry are sort of starting to finally come around to all of these different things that are happening. And we're adjusting to what now is the market that we all live in. And so before I share with you, I've got 40 minutes or so to share with you about 25 tactics that will help you get an appointment, tactics that will help you get a buyer, tactics that will help you get a listing. But before I dive into any of that, I think it's so important to understand the market dynamics that we're living through. So to start, in 1997, a company named Webvan had the brilliant idea of introducing online delivery. They actually raised $1.2 billion, hired a couple thousand employees. They expanded to 25 cities. And within 3 years, they went bankrupt. Who bought them? Amazon. Now, did Amazon have a better operating team? Did they have a better vision? Did they have more resources? Maybe. But the reality is that Amazon executed a great idea at the right time. It was the market dynamics that impacted their business strategy. It was the market dynamics that impacted their business strategy. And so Amazon has been so successful in the process of bringing online groceries to tens of millions of people that inevitably they're going to get competitors. People in the industry are going to say, hey, we should do that as well. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. Walmart also got into the online grocery business. But Walmart wanted to differentiate just a little bit. Walmart wanted to do things. They didn't want you to just go online, order the groceries. They said, we'll take it one step further. We'll actually go into your house and put the groceries away for you. How do you think people respond to that? Market dynamics should dictate your business strategy. So let's talk about the housing crash of 2007. This was when I first got into the real estate industry. I was working for a mortgage company the year prior, for a subprime mortgage company. Anyone in the industry around 2007? Right? We remember the subprime tracker, which was tracking all of the businesses and banks that were going out of business, right? That were failing. They actually had a website that tracked it. The company I worked for in New Hampshire called Aegis Lending they were like the number one. They were the subprimiest of subprime businesses. And what was interesting is the year prior to the housing crash, we sold 6.52 million houses. Within 12 months, that number dropped to 5 million. Within another 12 months, that number dropped to 4.12 million. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And by the way, that's a 37% decline in 2 years. Some of you are already knowing where I'm going with this. Here's where it gets interesting. At the time of the housing crash, we had 1.369 million realtors. And in fact, we were seeing that home sales were declining 3 times faster than the number of people who sold real estate. After 2 years, in 2009, the number only dropped to about 1.15 million. So whereas we saw some attrition in the market, home sales were dropping 3 times faster. Now, some of you right now in the audience are thinking to yourselves that, you know what, we're already seeing some of this attrition. We're already seeing agents leave the industry right now. Some of us are thinking that's going to make things easier. I've got bad news for you. It took 60 months to go from peak realtor 1.369 million, to the bottom of the market, which is around 996,000 or 963,000. It took 60 months to get there. Now, since then, we've added 50,000 realtors approximately every year. So from 2012 to about 2019, we added 50,000 realtors. And then what happened? We hit what Steve Harney calls the unicorn years. We added 120,000 agents in 12 months. That translates into one realtor every 4 minutes. Okay? Now, despite what you might think, this would not have been a problem if the housing market continued to go on a tear, because home sales were still increasing proportionally faster than the number of people who sold houses. And in fact, many people going into 2022 predicted that. This is some of the headlines, right? We're saying, hey, we're probably going to sell 6 million houses, existing home sales, not even including new construction. The market is going to be as hot as it was in 2021. You know, they were saying interest rates are going to rise to 4%. Okay? And that's why in 2022, we entered the market feeling like this. We felt like it was going to be 2021 all over again. And for many of us in the room right now, 2021 was an incredible year for our business. You with me on this? It was a great year for our business. And then what happened? This dude, okay? I call it Jerome Powell, some Game of Thrones fans here, the Night King, right? It was interest rate hike after interest rate hike after interest rate hike. And so whereas we started the year looking like this, we ended the year like this. Some of us still look like that. So we're at this point now as an industry where we have got to adjust to the market dynamics. The market has changed and our business strategy needs to change along with it. Now, let me give you some perspective. In 2012, we had approximately 4.5 million transactions. This year, we'll probably end up with 4.2, 4.5 million. Right now, we have approximately 1.55 million realtors. Maybe we'll end around that number. The last time that we had 4.5 million transactions, we had 999,000 realtors. So we have effectively 50 to 60% more people selling real estate than there are when we actually sold it back in 2012. Let that soak in for a second. That's why I call it the real estate Hunger Games. So if you're asking yourself, like, this market, like, let's go back to the beginning of this year. How was your Q1? Just yell it out for me. We got some great people over here. A lot of folks are struggling, right? A lot of folks are saying, hey, I talked to a lot of clients of mine. I work with 3,000 agents across the country who are selling a lot of real estate, including one who's going to be here later today, Gretchen Coley, on a panel. She'll all listen to what she has to say. She's doing some amazing work. A lot of the clients I talked to said, hey, Jimmy, I've been in the business for 25 years. I've never had a worse quarter in my entire career. I've never had a worse quarter in my entire year. And in fact, the reason was because marketing in 2021 looked a lot like this. Right? We ain't seeing too many realtors dance on TikTok right now. You log on TikTok. And so our marketing strategy needs to evolve to something like this. Right? Where we get back to the basics, the blocking and tackling, the things that actually generate conversations, the things that lead to appointments, the things that get us customers. And so I've been all over the country this past year, talking to agents from all different walks of life, all different teams, brokers, solos, agents, all different markets. Raleigh is a great market. I mean, Raleigh is, relatively speaking, a fantastic market compared to some other markets you see across the US. There is so much opportunity here. There's so much potential here to do some amazing things. And what we need is we need to have a plan. And now I've identified 4 things. 4 things that all of the successful agents I've worked with, that I've met, that I've been able to interview, talk to, all have in common. Number 1, they have the right strategy, meaning they're focusing in on the right things. And what I mean by that is they're prioritizing customer acquisition above all else. So historically, if they were spending maybe 10% of their time, 3 to 4 hours a week trying to get a customer, they now have turned the volume up on that, where now they're focused on maybe 30%, 40% on customer acquisition. The hard has kind of moved to the front of the process. Number two, they have the right tactics. That's what we're going to talk about today. Tactics, strategies and tactics, things that you can implement, things that work, things that will get you more conversations, more appointments, more customers. Third, have the right mindset. You know, I said this once, and people who are not in real estate didn't respond well to it. I said, real estate's a job that looks easy when you're not the one doing it, right? I think so many people look at this industry and say, man, they got the easiest job. They can work whenever they want. Sure, so long as it's 24/7, 365, right? Like, it's an emotional job. I mean, we got some people in my business, we got salaries. We got health insurance. We got stability. Every single day, you got to wake up and you're starting at zero, right? And so your mindset, and top agents all have this characteristic. I mean, they're bulletproof. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. Bless you. Number four, accountability. I mean, there are going to be people in your office, people on social media, people you bump into at conferences like this, who all they talk about is interest rates, inflation, and inventory. Man, the market's never been tougher. And if you start to surround yourself with that mindset and surround yourself with those people, you're going to start believing them. You with me on this? Like, you're going to start believing them. And in my opinion, if you are going to set yourself up for success, you have got to surround yourself, whether it's a coach, a mentor, a team leader, a broker, surround yourself with people who are going to hold you accountable and lift you up if you want to be successful. So when I've been on the road talking to these agents, the number one question I ask everybody, I say, hey, where do you get your business from? Give me a breakdown. Where do you get your business from? Tell me what you're doing to get customers. You sold $100 million in real estate in a really tough market. Where did you get your customers? What's the number one answer I get? SOI. Absolutely. And in fact, that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start with SOI tactics. So we've all seen this data that NAR put out. 89%, I can read that, 89% of people say that they would use their agent again, but only 12% actually do. Right? We got a leaky bucket problem in real estate. Now, we all have seen this data. The data we haven't seen is I actually did an analysis of the top MLS in the country. I looked at the top 10% of agents, and I wanted to know one simple question, which is, of the top agents, what was their retention rate of people they helped buy a property? Meaning, if I sold a home to Gretchen, what was the likelihood she was going to relist with me? Was it 12%? No. 46%. A top agent is 46% of the homes they sell will relist with them in the top 10% of the MLS. So translation, good agents, top agents, agents that we see selling a lot of real estate, I mean, they are fanatical about customer retention. Is real estate national or is it local? Who is the best source of local real estate information? Right? Exactly. Yet here's the problem. All the information you're gathering from the MLS and all the providers that give you all this amazing information, where is that information stuck? Stuck in your head until someone says, hey, how's the market? It's stuck in your head. And so one of the switches we got to flip, is we have got to take the information that we have. If we're in the MLS every day studying the market, as we should do, as pros do, we got to take that information and we got to translate that into outbound strategies to engage consumers, to have conversations. We got to play offense. Let me give you an example of this. This is a site you should write down. It's called Google My Maps. If you just Google My Maps, you'll pull it up. What you can do with Google My Maps is you can actually take your entire database in your CRM and you can import all of the people you've sold a house to. And what this will do is it will give you a visual representation of every client that you've served. You should print this out. You should make it the background of your computer. You should hang it in your office as a visual reminder that you've got people who want to do business with you again. You have got to put it front and center. And then what you can do next is a tactic that we call the one-to-one market update. So the one-to-one market update, and I'm going to give you the exact script in a moment here, is anytime any of these events happen, a new listing hits the market that you know will sell quickly. When a home hits the market, do you know if it's going to sell quickly if there's going to be 4 price reductions? You know it's going to sell quickly, right? Why? Because it's priced right. It's in a good area. Homes like that one sell very quickly. When there's a massive price reduction, when someone's gone through 2 or 3 price reductions, and you know this property is likely, the seller's really desperate to get the home sold. When there's a hot home, like Redfin does the Redfin hot home, when there's a home that's getting a lot of activity, a lot of traction, if you actually go to Zillow or Redfin, you go out of those sites, you can see the number of views a property has. If I was an agent in your position, I would be going to Zillow and as a consumer, and I'd be looking at the properties that have the most views in my farm. That is a marketable moment. When there's a notable sale, so a home that hasn't sold before, a home that's never sold, a home that is, hasn't sold for 30 years, or something that's unique and interesting and relevant about that property. And of course, this one's actually a killer strategy, which is expired listings. Where can a consumer go find expired listings online? I'm sorry, where? Where can a consumer? They can't. I mean, there's no real, an agent can go to the MLS, which is the point. You've got the information that they don't have. And so here's what I want you to do. The first text message is I want you to send this message. Hey, Gretchen, I was in the MLS earlier today and I saw that 123 Main Street sold in your neighborhood. Did you see the final sales price? They reply, nope. You give them the sales price and you give them some interesting data about the sales price. Hey, this is the first time the home actually has ever been listed. They built it back in '96. And then here's the key. Would it be helpful if I got you some more information about the sale? And so what I'm doing is I'm taking interesting, relevant, marketable moments that are happening every day in my client's farm, and I'm just texting them, giving them these little micro market updates. And I want you to wrap your head around this concept. All I'm doing is having more conversations every day. And what happens when I have more conversations? You get more appointments. What happens when you get more appointments? You get more customers. My guy, Phil Slocum, who's now a 3rd-generation realtor up in Rhode Island, he goes, my dad taught me something that I've now taught my son, which is the secret to success in real estate is TTP, right? Talk to people. And if that doesn't work, TTMP. Talk to more people, right? That's all we're trying to do here is talk to people. Okay. This is the end of the script, right? I'll move out of the way. Hey, I got all the details about the property. I'll give you a call in 5 minutes. Or hey, let's talk a little bit later today. Me and my wife bought a house this past year. I moved from the suburbs. I moved from the city of Boston into the suburbs. And my agent was a great agent. My agent helped me buy a property, pay very little above the asking price, got me a great deal. It was an off-market property. And my interest rate on my mortgage, because I bought in 2021, is what? 3%. How many people in this room right now have a client they have helped buy a home who has a 3% mortgage? All of our hands should go up. Now, are those people going to sell their house in the next 24 months? Okay. No, not your question. Unless it's the D's. Unless it's death, divorce, diapers, diamonds, right? They ain't selling. Okay? So these people are your biggest fans. Right? And these people that you help make a brilliant financial decision are the ones who know people who are looking to buy and sell. And many of us don't stay in touch with those folks because they're not going to deliver any value to us because they're not selling. And it's such a missed opportunity. So we introduced a new tactic called the 3% text, which is, hey, Gretchen, I thought you'd appreciate this update. Since you bought your house in 2016, its value has increased by 145%. In fact, if you were to buy your house today, your mortgage payment would be $3,500 more per month. You made a really smart financial decision buying when you did. We're complimenting them. If you have any plans to make any improvements, let me know. I've got a great list of vendors I can recommend and connect you with. Now, all we're doing is giving the consumer a reason to say thank you. You with me on this? Thank you. And this is actually in psychology, a guy, you should all write this down, a guy named Robert Cialdini. Don't ask me how to spell his last name. Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence. And he talks about the law of reciprocity. which is when someone says thank you, they have an inherent desire to pay you back, which is the exact right time to ask for a referral. You guys with me on this? And so here's how I want you to ask for a referral. Instead of saying some cheesy line that someone taught you 30 years ago, that's embarrassing to say out loud. I won't even say it. You all know what I'm talking about. Okay? Yeah, I've heard someone just whisper. I'm not going to say it because then I get attacked online. This is what I want you to say. After you end a conversation talking to a client of yours, oh, by the way, one more thing. We've been talking to a lot of folks who've been struggling in this market. Can you think of anyone in your network who hasn't been able to buy or sell that you think we can help? You're no longer the salesperson, you're the trusted consultant, the trusted advisor. You're the pro, right? And so in this instance, what I want you to do is every time you're using these tactics, the one-to-one market update, the 3% text, all you're trying to do at this stage is you're trying to engage in a conversation, and then you can turn that conversation into an introduction, into a referral. Our industry is bad at asking for referrals. We are either too afraid, or it feels too awkward, or we don't want to offend them. So this is a script that you can use every single time to generate more inbound referrals. Anyone here know Phil Jones? We got some Phil Jones? So we actually co-wrote a book, me and Phil Jones, and my partner Chris, called Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. We got 1,500 reviews on Amazon. Now, you might not know that I was actually the co-author of that book, because you see where it says one more? All right. I'm still bitter about that. There it is. Okay. So let's keep rolling. This is the trend of the keyword term using Google Trends called real estate. So you're looking at the real estate keyword searched on Google. This is Zillow. The word Zillow is searched as of August of 2016 more than the word real estate. It has become synonymous in the minds of the consumer. And here's some bad news. This may trigger a few folks in the room. When you search the word real estate, Google now actually recommends Zillow as a tag above all of the advertising campaigns. Okay, so after we take a deep breath, I want to share with you a tactic that you can use leveraging the fact that Zillow is such a household name. So this is a guy on Instagram hit me up a couple days ago. What's today? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday? Thursday? Thank you. Thursday, yeah. 2 days ago. He says, Jimmy, I've got 4 listings from the ZMA tactic. I said, Roy. That's how you pronounce his name? Is it Roy? R-O-O-Y? Someone help me out there? Okay. Yeah, I went with Roy. Yeah, I went with Roy. I said, Roy, how many people did you send this to? He goes, I checked. I sent 60 of the ZMAs out, and I've converted 6.7% of them into a listing. Not an appointment, a listing. Do you want to see the tactic? First step, I want you to go to your client's listing on Zillow. Okay, pull up the mobile app, go to the website. I want you to visit their listing on Zillow. I want you to then take a screenshot of that listing. And then I want you to text them. Hey, Steven, I was on Zillow earlier today looking for a few properties in your neighborhood, and I thought I'd check out your home's Zestimate. They estimate your home's value is $1.849 million. Include the screenshot of the Zestimate. And here's the killer line. I have my opinion, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think consumers have an opinion about their Zestimate? Okay? They'll say, it's too low. It's worth more than that. And what we're doing is we're having a real estate conversation. And you know what's funny? Because he shares some of the replies. They go, hey, Roy, it's so funny you reach out to us. We're actually thinking about maybe putting the house on the market. I mean, it's not that hard. But if we're on defense and we're waiting and we're passive, I mean, we are going to get crushed in this market. Those days of 3% and everyone buying and selling are over. We have got to get off of the sidelines and we got to get into the game. In fact, if you go back to Nike's original principles, what's principle number 2? For those of you who can see that. We are on offense all the time. I mean, we have got to be on offense all the time. We have got to be reaching out, engaging consumers all the time. We got to be focused in on getting our next appointment all the time. TTP. If that doesn't work, TTMP. And I like number 9, by the way. That's a little Easter egg there. It won't be pretty. We know that in real estate. Right? It's never pretty. So let me give you an example of this. My guy, Ken Pozak, and you guys should all write this guy's name down because he's a phenomenal agent in Orlando, Florida, does great work, has about 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. His name's Ken Pozak, P-O-Z-E-K. He used a tactic that generated $80,000 in commission in 1 week. And so what he did is he was on offense. He reached out to his clients using a CMA, and there's a whole bunch of tools that you can use now with your MLS that have CMAs, right? Because your MLS is making this information available. He produced the CMA. He didn't say, do you want a CMA? He proactively created a CMA for the client. And then this is the exact text he sent. Hey, I just want to do a quick equity update for you. It looks like homes like yours are selling between $625,000 to $675,000. I'm not sure if you've had any thoughts of selling, but even if you don't, I wanted to know where you're at. You can look at the data. 30 CMAs sent by 8 agents, 12 appointments booked, 5 listings taken. Of course, all 5 listings sold, and he double-ended one of them. $80,000 in commission in 1 week. Because he's not playing defense, he's not on the sideline, he's doing what? He's on offense, right? And so this is a rinse and repeat strategy. Let's keep building. Because Matt didn't give me an agenda, I thought I had longer time, so I'm going to speed things up just a little bit here. I know I already talked fast. Farming. Let me give you a quick pro tip on farming. In your MLS today, I think there's roughly around 191,000 properties kind of in Raleigh, as an example. And one of the interesting things is that when we're farming, we tend to sort of just like choose our farm and just send mailers to everybody, as an example. So there's a company called PropStream. And by the way, there's probably a dozen vendors out there that do something like this, and you should talk to the vendors out there that do this. But you can actually search in their system by a whole bunch of criteria. So I called up the customer service department. I said, hey, my name's Jimmy. I said, you work with thousands of agents. Tell me the secret sauce. People who are using your product every day. He goes, I'll tell you right now, and no one does this. He goes, when I go into the MLS or in PropStream, I come in and I sort by people who bought a home before 2021 that have a 5% or higher mortgage rate. So remember, I don't know what the number was. 60 million Americans refinanced during the pandemic. The vast majority of people had a 3% interest rate. But there are now a whole bunch of people who own a property back in 2021 and 2020 and before who have an interest rate of 5%. Why did those people not refinance? Right? Because like, what do I want to pay the closing costs? I'm probably maybe thinking about potentially putting the house in the market. So I'm just going to it's not going to be that big of a difference. I'm probably not going to refinance. Now, I've done the math on this. I've looked at this. I've done this filter. There are actually 16,000 houses in Raleigh that have a 5% or higher interest rate that have owned the property for five or more years. Do you think we should call them? Say, hey, what's going on? Because even if they got to buy, it's not that big of a delta to get them from 5% to 7% or wherever we're at today. So let me give you a couple farming strategies you can use to generate business. The first one is the magic buyer letter. So one of my clients in Lexington, Massachusetts, her name is Danny Fleming. She has generated a 1.6, 1.8, and most recently a $2.2, $2.3 million listing off of the magic buyer letter strategy. Here is the exact, you get your phones out. This is the exact script that she sends. I can't read it for you because we got 12 minutes. Take a photo of that. And all we're doing here is we are essentially saying to these people who have a 5% interest rate, people who have owned the house for 5 or more years, we're saying, hey, we've got buyers who are looking to buy your property. If you're thinking about selling, give us a call back. This is the CEO of Zillow getting a massage. This is also This is the face he makes when you don't follow up with your clients. Because every Zillow seller lead, the ones that they're charging you a fortune for right now, is a buyer that was abandoned by their agent. Right? They ain't going to Zillow and clicking on, let me hire an agent, if their agent is their primary point of contact. And so I have a strategy for you, because there are a lot of people who bought a house in 2012, 13, 14, 15. They bought a home, and their agent is no longer in business. I call them orphan buyers. Yeah, right? I try to name everything. Okay, so just take a photo of this, but what we're doing here is we're reaching out. I'm trying to back behind so you guys don't have me in the photo. There we go. We're trying to reach out and say, hey, we're reaching out because it turns out the agent who helped you buy the property is no longer in business. You probably have questions about your property. We just want to make ourselves available to you. Give us a call if you need anything else. We're trying to build a relationship with the consumer before this dude does, okay? All right, I had to go back to that one. I promise. I only have it like 3 more times in the deck. Okay, so let's keep rolling. And I break this down for you, but we don't have time for that today, so we're gonna keep rolling. Okay, this farming campaign I'm about to send to you generated a $2.5 million listing. Here's the campaign. And what we're doing in this campaign, you can take a photo of it, but this is actually an inbound lead. We track all the inbound leads that come in, right? This is an inbound lead saying, hey, I've actually never replied to a direct mail before, but I saw yours. I'm going to reply to it. I'm actually looking to sell my house at $2.5 million as is. What do we call that lead? We call it, we can call it gold. We can call it come list me. We call it a layup, right? And so what you're having here is if you create really compelling, interesting, unique, valuable content and put it in the mailboxes of people who are likely to sell, right? They're going to raise their hand. And one of the really interesting things we do with our mailers now, see the right-hand side here? We have kind of what we call house ads, where we try to provide as much value as possible on the left side, and on the right side, we always have an offer, a direct response offer. We'll dive into that in just a moment. I want you to all write this down. Company called yellowlettercomplete.com, yellowlettercomplete.com. What's so cool about this is that they got this guy's got a farm of robots in Wisconsin, and they will hand write notes for you on yellow letter pad, and it comes in an envelope that looks like a wedding invitation. I mean, it's like $1.10 per letter. And what you're seeing here is this letter got our client a $4.4 million listing. This is what I refer to, you take a photo of it, it's called the value proposition letter, okay? I mentioned Gretchen earlier. This is a client that we helped Gretchen get over a $2 million listing. This is the let's control the narrative, because if we don't, someone else will, which is consumers believe that no one is selling their property. And when they believe no one is selling their property, what do? They sit on the sidelines. If we can educate the consumer that, in fact, yeah, a lot of people are actually listing their property, they say, well, maybe I should think about listing my property. So I'm going to go rapid fire here for you on prospecting. So number 3 on the list here. We've talked about SOI. We've talked about farming. We're going to get into prospecting. Okay, so prospecting. So at Curaytor, we have generated probably 100 million leads for our clients over the course of the last decade. And whereas many of our clients have converted many of those leads into buyers and sellers, inevitably, we would get feedback like, hey, I can't get a hold of these leads. Or no one's calling me back. Does anyone here buy internet leads? Right? No one's calling me back. They haven't responded. They say, Jimmy, the leads are shit. And I said, you know what, the hell with it. I said, I'm so sick of hearing that feedback. We'll call the leads. I'll build an ISA team. We'll call the leads. It turns out the leads are shit. Okay? Okay. So I built a team of 9 ISAs, okay? I built a team of 9 ISAs. They make a ton of phone calls every single month. They booked a ton of appointments for our customers, a lot of volume. And here's what I've learned. If you do not treat a lead like it's going to convert, none of them will. If you do not treat every single lead like it's going to convert, none of them will. But the script and the tactic and the person making the call matters. I mean, it matters a lot. Barry Jenkins is going to come up here a little bit later today. He's got a ton of ideas on how to convert internet leads. He'll share some of that insight with you. Let me give you a couple ideas for you. These are 3 kind of tactics you can use to engage with your internet leads. Insider info. Hey, I just spoke to an agent in my office who's going to list a home that I think is going to sell quickly. Would you like me to give you the details about it before it hits the market? That's a text message to a lead that leads to a conversation that leads to a appointment, right? Expert prediction. Hey, Amber, the reason I'm reaching out is because I was reviewing all the active homes in Bedford, and I think 6 of them are going to have a significant price reduction in the next 2 weeks. We all know this because we're all experts in the market, that we can begin to predict, hey, this is information you can't find online. Sweat equity. Hey, Tom, I'm not sure if you got my last email. I just sold 123 Main Street. I'm calling around the neighborhood to see if anyone else is thinking about selling. If I come across any potential deals, would you like me to call you? Do you know how none of these emails are saying the 3 worst words in sales? Right? Which is what? Well, calling back, that's also bad, but what are the 3 words we hear all the time in sales? Just checking in. Just check, like, okay, why? Like, you're like, why? And so what we run into is a lot, hey, I'm just checking in, see how things are going. How can I help you? Like, we got to do the work for the consumer, and we have to create these irresistible hooks to get these crappy internet leads to say, hey, I trust you. I'll give you a call back. I break this all down for you, but you took some photos of it as well. All right, let's keep rolling here. Just one more, actually 2 more scripts for you. This one we use all the time. It's really effective for us. Again, if you're in the game, you're playing offense, you're prospecting, you're following up, you've got to have better scripts. You got to have better tactics when you follow up. I'm one of 6 kids, and I'm by far the favorite. Not even close. And so I always test scripts on my mom. I want to see how, so I'll text her from like unknown numbers just to see how she responds. Because so she's like, before I roll out a script, say, hey, to all my clients, hey, listen, we should try this. I tested on my mom. And so this is a script I tested on my mom that actually worked really well that she was mad about, which is, hey, this is a tech, you can send this to seller leads, to your SOI. I know this is a bit of a crazy question. That's a Chris Voss special. By the way, Chris Voss never split the difference. Read his book, and then reread his book, and then reread his book. Watch the masterclass, man. That guy, I met him in person one day. He is the coolest dude you can possibly imagine. All right, if I could find you an off-market buyer for your property who's going to pay the price you want, and would you consider selling? No showings, move when it's convenient. Her legitimate response was, yeah, I'd really consider it. And I said, that's a script I'm testing, Mom. All right? So when you get into motion with marketing and advertising and sales, you start to build momentum. You start to get confidence. You start to actually drive the business. And you go from this to this. Okay. All right. Email marketing. By the way, we have lunch coming up around 12-ish or so. Just as a note, I'm going to be in front over here. Come see me at lunch before you go eat. Give me your business card. I'm going to give away all my slides. I know we're going quick. I'm going to give away all my slides, all the scripts, all the templates. Just come by the booth. I'll be out front there for you. Email marketing. Real quickly on email marketing, we built an email marketing solution. Our clients have sent 164,000 emails that's engaged over 250 million people. The benefits of email marketing, if you get really good at email marketing, you can increase the ROI on every lead source. You can generate inbound leads. You can drive traffic to your website, you can grow your social media following, and you can get high intent people to say, hey, I want to work with you. I'm going to give you one email that you can send that's going to help you with your business. This is a famous P.T. Barnum quote. Some of the best news we've heard in real estate came out in the last few years. I mean, this is the best news that no one's talking about, which is Zillow interviewed thousands of homeowners, and they said, do you have any plans on selling? And for the first time, 1 in 4 sellers said they plan, 1 in 4, nearly 1 in 4 sellers said they plan on listing their home in the next 3 years. I mean, could we get better news, right? I think so many people have been holding off, that now the dam is finally beginning to break, that there's some positive sentiment. So every time we have a stat that's worth sharing about positive news in the industry, we want to create content around that. And this is the exact email I want you to send, which is, that is a really weird ringtone. Okay. Nearly 1 in 4 homeowners plan on selling their home in the next 3 years. If somebody opens up that email, what does that tell you about them? And this is, by the way, this is what we call qualifying through copy, using relevant subject lines to get someone to open, which now basically helps you build a call list. We talk about the data. Hey, the main reason homeowners are planning to sell, they're capitalizing on their equity, they have a desire to upgrade, right? This won't happen overnight, but it's a meaningful step towards a balanced and thriving market. And then we hit them with the 2 best letters in the English dictionary when it comes to email marketing. PS. PS. If you're among the 23% of people who are contemplating selling, the initial step is to request a comprehensive home value report for your property. Respond to this email with your address, and we'll craft a custom report for you today. So the strategy here with email marketing that we love, I mean, that just drives business for our customers, is if you got a database of 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, you can't call every one of them every month. You've got to get in their inbox. You've got to stay top of mind with them. Provide value first and sell second. All right, I got a bunch of emails for you. We can't cover all of them today. This is the formula. Take a picture of that. Matt, give me like 5 minutes, 5 more minutes, right? We're good? Are we good? He could drag me off. It'd be very uncomfortable. Okay. If he had an agenda, I would have. Okay. All right. Direct offers. The number 1 company in direct to consumer that took the world by storm was Casper. We all remember that, right? In like the early 2010s, right? What did they do? They delivered a mattress to your house in a box. You could return the mattress, right, within 30 days if you can get that thing back in the box, right? Which, you know, you just need like an industrial compression engine or something. Okay, so they had massive success. I mean, they started to grow like crazy. And what happened? Well, they got a bunch of competitors. There are now, I want to say, probably 50 people who do the mattress in a box. There's Tuft & Needle, right? There's Purple. There's even a company called Avocado. And when you look at their websites, what do you see? Right? What are they selling? Read the words on the website. What are they selling? Discounts. Right. When everything looks the same, you have to compete on price. And when all the things that we do from a marketing and sales perspective looks the same as everybody else, we got to compete on price. When everything looks the same, it actually confuses the consumer. Like this dude was confused when he said beds should look like beds. I ordered this when I was high because I thought it was a giant. One star. Disappointed. Okay. So, in all fairness, it does kind of look like an ice cream sandwich. It's too thick for an air mattress. So direct response marketing is really designed around getting you to raise your hand, say, hey, I'm interested. So let me give you an example of this. This is a direct response campaign that we're going to share with you that got my client an $800,000 listing. I mean, this is so insanely simple. Subject line, an offer you can't refuse. If a buyer offered you more than 15% above this estimate, would you sell the home? Yes, maybe, no. Okay, what's your number? If the answer is no, maybe, okay, what would it take, right? Yes, okay, now we can have a conversation. Again, we're not trying to tell them that their home is worth 15% more than this estimate. We're trying to understand whether this person is actually serious about selling. Since 1997, Geico has run this ad campaign. At the time, they had 2% market share in the auto insurance industry. Now they have close to 15%. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. There are certain campaigns, they've been running this thing for 30 years. There are certain campaigns that just work. I mean, certain strategies that just work. This campaign I'm about to share with you is a campaign that has generated over $100 million in listings for our clients. It just works. Subject line, name your price. Hey, Jimmy, could you finish this sentence for me? If I could sell my house for blank, I would list my house this fall. I cannot wait to hear your answer. I mean, you can email this to your database. It just works. You can send a DM on social. It just works. You can send a text to your SOI. It just works. You with me on this? Right? If something works, you should run that play over and over again. And if something works, you should translate that to other channels. If it works in email, you could translate it into a direct mail piece. That's something we did for Gretchen a while back. Right? Just out of curiosity, if I could sell my house blank, I would list it this spring. Here's my phone number. Okay. We are really over, Matt. So I appreciate you. Let me just come to the very end here. We got a ton more. By the way, actually, let me back up. This is going to be very uncomfortable for everyone. So there's a website called, okay, pay attention. Okay. There's a website called Foreplay. So Foreplay dot, don't go to .com, .co. So foreplay.co. And what that website includes is it includes a tremendous amount of information from other advertisers and other marketers sharing their best advertising campaigns. So if you don't want to be a mattress company and you want to stand out, you've got to seek inspiration outside of the real estate industry. So I've got like 35 more slides. I wish I could share them with you today. I will give every single slide away, every idea away at my booth during the lunch break. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate being here.